Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a Premier League presentation bringing you guys a game between Mouz Sports and Fnatic. These guys are going into this best of one to decide who's going to be advancing forward in this Premier League Cup here. It's going to be an interesting game between these two teams, and we'll see how it plays on out. Real quick, fixing one quick issue on stream, and now we're good to go. So, once again, I am Blaze, going on into this draft here with Triumph of Man. How are you doing, good sir?
I'm feeling pretty good. Okay, so I'm just looking at this. We do have a stand-in for No-Tail on Fnatic's side. He won't be showing up tonight. Like I think you said he was off busy visiting some sponsors in Japan. Now, I'm definitely interested in this match. Mouz Sports obviously coming off a very, very recent high. No spoilers for just now. But the last 7 times these teams have clashed, Fnatic currently sit on 5 wins to Mouz's 2. So we'll see how they go. Now, I'm interested to see how Mouz Sports, how they're going to perform here. Obviously, Cinder back in his MTW days has had a pretty heavy rep for being a bit of a turtle fest. But Fnatic, on the other hand, they're a team of curveballs. They go, if anybody's going to use something weird and funky, it's definitely going to be Fnatic, because I mean they pick up lots of random stuff like Venomancer, Vengeful Spirit, Support, Sven, Lion, lots of heroes that we don't normally see all that frequently. So we'll see what Fnatic have in mind tonight. Should also mention that, yeah, well, there we go, Mouz Sports, I was about to say, will most likely ban Wish. They've banned almost every single game I see them play.
Yeah, but what do you think about the anti-mage ban? It's not something that you generally do see, and although there's a lot of possibility for Era to pick that up, I would say a Lifestealer is more likely than anything else, unless Mouz Sports wants to use that for their first pick. But they go for the Bat Rider here, and it seems like the anti-mage is what they're most afraid of. Do you have any thoughts on that?
If I remember, Fnatic will pop it out every now and then, so it is fairly something that they might go for. But we'll see what they've. Mouz Sports might be hoping to use something that's vulnerable to Anti-Mage in, say, the Suicide lane. Obviously, like Anti-Mage, he can completely shred heroes. Like you see something like Puck try and take the off lane, Anti-Mage will basically push his stuff in. There's no real chance for him to decide. And there we go. I think. No, actually, no. I still don't know why they've banned that. I'm not dead sure as to why they banned that, but Fnatic open up some very, very quick picks here. They've got the Nyx Assassin as well as the Storm Spirit. I really like the Storm Spirit and the Nyx Assassin. Again, it's a huge mobility combo with Lifesteal. It's very dangerous indeed.
Yeah, but in this position, it's going to be Fnatic's opportunity to take a lot of aggression. With that anti-mage ban early, they pick up their lifesteal, which is one of Era's signature heroes, has been for a very long time, and in synergy with the Storm Spirit, they have a huge amount of potential for Nyx bombs. I mean, Hani's Storm Spirit is legendary, and the amount of aggression they can go with that, it's going to be very, very scary, and puts a lot of pressure on the Bane to play just as well as we saw last game, and make sure that the lifesteal is locked down with that Fiend Script very hardcore, because otherwise, there's going to be way too much going the other direction. There's going to be stuns to lock him down, and then, of course, there is that Nyx bomb aggression that can bring down heroes like Gyrocopter in a matter of seconds. So they have to watch for those infests, for those ball lightnings, and we'll see if Fnatic can make use of them or if Mouz Sports is going to be responsive enough to be able to survive on through. Either way, the draft continues. We do see the Lone Druid and the Darkslayer both taken out, both great offlaners for Fnatic as they have only drafted up tri-lane and mid heroes. And then finally, we are looking at Mouz Sports setup here, and they have a little bit of everything. They have one support, one all-around good hero that will most likely be carrying up via Black, and then of course the Bat Rider will be most likely running on that mid lane, though we have seen Quokva take it on the off lane / jungle a couple times over.
And we'll see what they've got in mind indeed. I like the fact they're banning out the Lean and the Shrek here, 2 heroes that combo very nicely with Bane indeed, so they'll be getting rid of them. And of course we saw last match exactly how nasty Lina and Bane are together, but they'll be removing that. Of course Synderen does play a very, very nice Lina. But Fnatic with their final ban here, we also do have Keeper of the Light banned out. I think that's a very smart ban from Mouz Sports, just because if they threw in a Keeper of the Light, it would be a very powerful combination. When the Nyx, the Lifesteal, and the Keeper of the Light can cause a very big spat, or can just cause a lot of havoc against the Gyrocopter if they try and put him in the safe lane, because they can just run that offensive tri-lane, and it would be incredibly difficult for them to stop with that continual mana spam coming out of Keeper of the Light. But Rubik going to be the final ban here from Fnatic.
Yeah, and that's going to be a really good ban in my opinion. There's a lot of different things that could be very difficult to deal with already. I mean, things like the Nyx Assassin's Impale is a great steal for the Rubik, but it also kind of shows that they're going for something a little more extensive with their ultimate intentions. They're going to go on through and pick up something kind of Wombo Combo-esque that they don't want the Rubik to get his hands on. Ball Lightning is already good in that regard, and I already mentioned the Nyx Assassin, but there isn't enough reason to ban out the Rubik other than the fact that it's a great support, and they they might be looking towards one of those future powerful ultimates. But this Shadow Demon has thrown them for a loop a little bit. You generally don't see Shadow Demon and Bane put in the same lane together because they're both setup heroes. They're both ones that initiate the team fight by starting off with a disruption or starting off with a nightmare as far as the laning phase goes. But now they are going to be going up against this with Lifestealer being locked down hardcore. The Demonic Purge, the Fiend's Grip, he's not going to be able to get any right clicks in, and that means Fnatic needs to adjust their strategy. They need to go for something like a dual core, and that means they might need to change it to an aggressive tri-lane, and as a result they have to get a much more aggressive support, which unfortunately they've banned out most of them. Lina and Leshrac specifically are the ones that would go hand in hand with Nyx's Lifestealer, and without those available being banned out by their own hand, if they want to switch it up aggressive, they're going to have to completely rethink their strategy entirely.
I don't know, I think they've still got some options. I mean, we've seen stuff like Windrunner get used as a support in a trial. I think that's definitely still an option open. And if you open up with a very nice Jackal Shot, of course, it can cause a lot of damage. As well as the fact, of course, Power Shot is one of the higher damage nukes in the early phase. Of course, leading off, I think it's like a flat 110 or 100 damage. It's very, very painful to get smacked by. But we'll see what Fnatic, like you said, if they are going for that offensive tri-lane, they will need to get another strong support in there, preferably one with a good stun and hopefully range, because obviously you don't want to show up there with 3 melee heroes in that offensive tri-lane. But that said, I mean, Shadow Demon, Bane, and the Gargoyle, if they're going for defensive, it's some kind of defensive tri-lane, it's not that strong. Like you said, you know, the Bane, the Shadow Demon, they don't have a lot of punch here. That said, I mean, between the Nightmare and the disruption, they could quite easily throw out a lot of defensive spells, but it will be the Skywrath Mage as the final pick here. I'm just wondering, are they going to throw Skywrath as a support and then possibly try and put the Bane in the mid and put Batrider in the Suicide solo?
I think more likely we're going to see Koikova pick up the Bat in the off lane and slash jungle, and then have Skywrath in the mid lane versus the Storm Spirit. Honestly, Skywrath is great in the lane, using his Arcane Bolt a little bit for CS. He's generally not going to lose it to a Storm. So in this position, we're going to be seeing a supportive Windrunner. We're going to see an off lane Bounty Hunter, but I think they're going to run Skywrath as a mid and just keep Bane in that supportive role where he's going to be strong. And Pause picking him up kind of secures that, as Pause and Cinderin have been playing support for quite some time together. So Fata, running that Skywrath, will be going head-to-head with Hani, and we'll see how that kind of plays on out. Prior to level 6, I got to give the edge to Skywrath, but of course once Storm Spirit gets the ability to stay active, they're going to have to get a Fiend's Grip or some other kind of hardcore disable to make sure that he's going to be locked down by the Mystic Flare. But it definitely changes up Hani's mindset as far as the shopping list goes. He's going to be looking for a Orchid of Malevolence as fast as possible to be able to bring down this Skywrath.
Definitely. Skywrath, of course, can deal out a lot of damage. As soon as we saw the fact that Fata hadn't picked a hero, I knew that it had to be him on that Skywrath taking that mid. There's no real way that they've tried to put him into a support role. He does so well, as we've seen recently. But Blaze, you want to call out the teams here?
Yeah, starting things off, we do have Cinderin picking up the Shadow Demon up top, going to be supporting up Black, who is running out that Gyrocopter. We do have Fata here on the Skywrath. Interesting starting item, starting off with that clarity there, but the main thing is he's being economic, saving up a heck of a lot of gold for an early bottle, and with that Koikova, might be starting off in the jungle. I'm not too sure right now. He hasn't picked up boots or anything, so right now Koikova just with 2 pieces of regen, really not sure exactly what his intentions are, but if he's heading off to the offlane, he's certainly going to need a lot more of meaty items. Either way, that's going to be, did I call everybody? No, the Bane, picked up by Pause there, is going to be the last one to round out their roster.
I think I know exactly what we can tell exactly what Fnatic's going to do here. Trixie, of course, is the go-to suicide player here for Fnatic, so he's most likely just going to be taking that bounty hunter. And it looks like they're going to get it looks like Fnatic, they're going to get very, very active, going to try and get those ganks rolling. And of course, Storm Spirit can facilitate those very well. And you know, he's throwing some Nakes bombs there. That's feeding Nakes a lot of extra gold. They can get those track ganks down, but at the same time, I'm very, very worried. There's still a lot of team fight potential on Mouse's side, and of course, with the lockdown, Bane can throw it, and the big nasty silence there from Skywrath Mage. Really, Storm Spirit is going to have to watch out for that a lot. That is going to be a crippling blow against if they can land that.
So yeah, Era's going to be carrying down on the lifesteal on bottom, and right now we are seeing a supportive Windrunner, that's Fly picking that up there, has sentries up so that he doesn't have to worry about the pull being blocked, but right now it doesn't sound like Koikova is going to head to the bot lane at all, just going to go in and focus on the jungle primarily. Also have a double damage Invis Trixie, going to try to make some trouble on the top lane, but has to be careful about his positioning because the Sentry Ward reveals a very large portion of the lane, and the Observer Ward on top of that can get some good control to the south. So in general, he's going to disrupt Koikova's jungle as much as possible, but in general, Trixie is not going to be finding some dedicated experience on the lane, so he can creep jack really easily with this double damage, so he's going to be able to steal up at least one of these easy camp creeps, but could be turned around very quickly, and Cinderin actually gets the disruption immediately. Not going to be able to follow it up with any Firefly damage, but as a whole, just annoying Trixie out of the lane. He's going to try to go for some creep jacking, some snipes, some anti-jungling, but Not going to find anything on the lane itself.
And it looks like Fnatic are happy to let this happen for the moment, just let things pan out. They're going to have the complete free farm here on Era, and of course Era can farm up a complete Storm, and this is going to allow their supports to take time, get that farm happening, whereas unfortunately Pass, as well as it looks like Sinner, are going to spend a lot of time screwing around with Trixie, and this is going to basically mess up a lot of their early farm.
I think it's first blood, though. They have the Sentry Ward down, and big damage coming on through. A couple more right clicks will go, but he unfortunately disjoints it, and I'm really surprised they didn't keep the Firefly active on top of him. Now they really don't have any way to bring him down. And his Invis will still last for a little bit longer, and he can refresh in just a moment. So, yeah, I'm really, really surprised that Koikova just didn't keep walking forward and make sure the Firefly could keep ticking away. But either way, that does mean that, yeah, they're wasting a lot of time, wasting some sentries, and all Trixie has to do is pop off his Salve and Clarity, and he'll be back up to snuff.
Yeah, I mean, he's being a really big jackass here. He's wasting 3 people's time for 1. This is a really good investment here for Fnatic. It's working out quite nicely for him. Pass is going to snipe that in the end there, but still, it's a lot of wasted time for them. Meanwhile, though, on the mid there, we'll see how Hanny's doing against the Skyrrath. Skyrrath currently sitting 5-3, 8-2 there for Hanny. So it looks like Hanny is getting ahead here, although he's starting to run out of mana here, as he's going to start getting bombed harder and harder by Skywrath Mage and his Arcane Bolt.
So, going in early, we do see that the bottles will come out for both mid-heroes, but we are also seeing Koikova pick up those early boots, as I was talking about. So he's used both his starting items here, and just decides boots is the way to go here, staying mobile against the Bounty Hunter, and of course just being able to kite out the creeps to get more Firefly damage in. So it'll be pretty interesting how that goes on through. No Janata yet on Trixie, so very limited threat, but he's still going to do some harassment to Koikova. Only one single shot going on top of him, though. Either way, they're going to harass him back on out, forcing out his final wind run. The Shadow Walk will come on through, but he's not going to actually be forced out of the jungle just yet. In the meantime, it's delay tactics. It really is, because as we see down on bottom, Era getting free farm, still kind of neck and neck with the Gyrocopter, but can comfortably go for something like Midas if he wants to. But the pickup of these Boots of Speed means he's probably going to be looking at Phase instead. So just playing aggressive and staying active, even though he's not going to be securing the late game necessarily.
Yeah, I don't think he's too worried about getting like the Midas, the huge steamrolling farm. He's more worried. He just wants to get the combat items and get into the fight quickly, because I really feel like they're going to be going for those fights and those ganks with the track goal, because of course they have Trixie playing that bounty hunter. It looks like he's still going to continue to mess with him, and now we might have a gank rotating mid here, Blaze.
Yeah. Kind of moving on through with the no smoke active, and as far as Dire Vision, they don't have any idea just yet, but coming in, they don't have a Shackle Shot is the big thing. They have to set it up with the Impale after Storm is pulling in with the Electric Vortex, which is indeed rank 2, so they do have the stuns, and Skywrath is certainly squishy enough to be susceptible to this kind of gank, but because Windrunner is only level 1, the timing is crucial. We do see Bounty Hunter going to be involved as well. Coming on in, Hani goes for that Electric Vortex, pulling him on, he's going to do the concussive, but now is being ganked up by just about everybody. Windrun pop to get in range for the power shot, but Trixie taking a lot of hits here, and is actually silenced on up. A lot of right-click damage going his way. He might be the first blood. The concussive finishes him off here, and he will be dropped down. Now Fada on the run, slow to a crawl, but here's Paz coming in with Brain Sap and Nightmare aplenty. Dropping the Nightmare, getting in a good position to follow up with Brain Sap and right-clicks. There is going to be the Arcane Bolt to seal the deal there. 2-0 for Mousesports, and they turned what could have been a very dangerous situation into 2 kills because of the fact that Windrunner could not skill her Shackle. She got level 2, but had to use Windrun to get into position just a power shot. So unfortunately, being a non-factor, we do see Mouz taking it away.
I kind of just face palmed a little bit. I just wonder why no smoke? I mean, surely I mean, we've seen the previous games, all those really early good mid ganks, they came off the back of a smoke gank, and in the end, Fnatic just decided to pretty much blatantly run past the town, like you said, with no Shackle Shot to lock down and follow up on the Skywrath. It was just easy for him to back off and buy time for his supports to show up and back him up and just turn that around entirely, which in the end not only gives away first blood, but a second kill on a very crucial hero, the Storm Spirit. So I really feel like Fnatic just should have invested in some smoke for that gank.
Yeah, exactly. And by not finding that, they really dig their own grave here now. Hani taking a lot of hits from the Skywrath. One more Arcane Bolt could fly out, but unfortunately line of sight not working out for him. Either way, pushing him back and gaining an experience lead because of the previous kills. Really big deal. And also in the jungle, Cinderin being such a bro, stacking up these, he actually stacked up the easy camp and the eastern hard camp simultaneously through the use of Shadow Poison, and now Koikova can get so much farm. Just insane amounts of farm through Firefly and just stacking up the Napalm. So he's in a great spot, and he's going to be able to bounce in towards Blink Dagger at a pretty solid timing as a result of all this. So he's feeling pretty happy, even though finally the Tier 1 tower did fall on bottom as a result of, the supports and Era just right-clicking away uncontested.
I think right now Fnatic just need to calm down a little. Maybe they can get a nice, easy little pick off here on Scarrath, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Or will it actually? As Honey gets level 6, it might.
Oh, big
the
Mystic
ult
Flare. Oh, wow. Now coming on in, the Electric Vortex will slow down Fata. Is there going to be a Nightmare coming out from Paz trying to get it, but instead just brings down the Bounty Hunter, sacrificing out the Skywrath. Shackle will latch onto Paz, though, and he does get bursted down pretty hardcore, not dying to that last right-click, though, and Fly going deep, really, really wants this kill, but juking on the trees. There's no way for him to get vision, and without any mana for Power Shot, he has to fall back here. Still, they got the kill on the Shadow Demon, on the Skywrath. Actually, the Shadow Demon kill was on bottom there, as the Lifesteal was able to pick that up just about solo, without even popping the Infest off, so a little bit of overextension from Demon, thinking that he could do something more than he could, being only a level 4 support. Either way, really, really good movement from Fnatic, pressuring him back and getting the kill on that very important Skywrath mage.
I mean, sure, they lost the kill on Trixie. He ended up getting killed back in return. But in the end, I think it was more crucial the fact that they got the experience there on Hanny. They really needed to get him a bit of extra money. And as it goes down, I think right now Fnatic just want to calm down a little bit, just play it safe. Obviously, they've got the ult now on Storm Spirit. They've got the ult there on Lifesteal. But I think they just want to calm down, play it a little bit safe, and wait for Trixie to get his level 6. Once he gets at level 6, then they can quite freely trade hero kills and get ahead on money just because of that bounty gold. It's one of those unique situations where you've got the track gold and you can just trade kills quite happily and come out ahead every single time. So I think they just want to wait for that, and then once they get those track ganks flowing, get those infest bombs with the Storm Spirit really rolling, that's when Mouse Sports are really going to feel the pain. But if they if they don't calm down right now, they keep going in and trading kills right now, I think they're just going to allow Mouse Sports to get a little bit ahead to where they don't want them to be.
Now what we're seeing down is a little bit of a spread from Mouse Sports, where they're getting some stacks from Syndra, and they're also allowing it down on the bot lane, where he's getting some experience from the creep wave, and Korkova keeps on farming in his jungle there. So he's going to find his blink so darn quick if he doesn't opt for any other intermediary items. Sitting right now at 1800, not too far off of his objective. Hani going to pick up an Invis Rune and ball lighting away from a 3-man gank, so he'll be fine there. But the big thing here is the spread for Mouse Sports, finding experience across so many different heroes. Now they have Fiend's Grip on Pause, they're going to have the Blink Dagger on Koikwa, and on top of that, Skywrath is getting some great levels, so they can do some cool combos with either Nightmare or Shadow Demon Disruption to set up that Mystic Flare, which is pretty much their primary damage source at this stage in the game.
Yeah, definitely, and this is going to be a problem for Fnatic. They mentioned that they're getting the Blink Dagger on the Batrider, and the Fiend's Grip coming up as well. There's a lot of disables for Mouse Sports, and right now, Hanny's going to be so careful about where he jumps into, because they can quite easily bait him into a bad situation. Speaking of a bad situation, Trixie, they're hunting for him right now in mid. They're throwing in the counter ward as well, looking for him.
That Sentry could be devastating if Trixie is not cautious enough. But right now, the Creequilibrium is in a position where he can still stay on the high ground, maybe pick up a last hit or something along those lines. And fortunately, there is still no blink on the Batrider. Has been delayed a little bit, but Fata still ever present, ever threatening. But we do see actually treads picked up on Skywrath. I haven't cast that many Skywrath mage games, but I've always seen them go Arcane Boots. Do you have any thoughts on the pickup here for Fata, just picking up the treads instead?
I mean, the deal with the Arcane Boots is the fact, like, he's got some severe mana issues in the early game, especially when he really wants to start spamming the Arcane Bolt every 2 seconds or so. He runs out very quickly, and of course, Mystic Flare is just absolutely...
this is bad. Track is active.
Yeah.
They're going to be able to go for the next bomb here. Electric Vortex pulling him in. Quick right clicks to finish the job here. Pause does drop down that Fiend's Grip. They're going to be able to send out a little bit of damage there, but the Soul Catcher is not going to dissuade them from going on in here right on top of Pause, bringing him down with a few right clicks. Brain Sap will keep him up for a little bit longer. Call Down is going to slow everybody in place, but it's on Black to turn this around. Hani will ball lighting away. Arrow just right clicking down with that armlet. Active Magic Stick too. He just cares so little with this armlet available. He can always go on in as long as he sees the auto attacks coming, which is pretty much impossible not to at this stage. They are just in a great position to turn things around nicely. They get the kill. That was a track kill from Bounty Hunter. They did lose Trixie in the process, but it certainly was a second worth it for the second kill on Bane.
It was definitely very, very good for them. I was about to say, the reason I think he picked up the Power Treads was just for some more health to try and prevent those massive pickoffs there, like this basically the Infest bombs coming down in his head, which, you know, as it turns out, Treads or not, 3v1, not really much he could do there at all. But I feel this is why he's gone for the Treads over the Arcane Boots. So the Arcane Boots, definitely, he has mana issues. He's already got the bottle, he's got the magic wand, and of course, Storm Spirit spams like crazy, so that will charge up. So I think he's hoping he can get enough mana out of that and tread swapping.
Yeah.
Rather than having to be really super squishy with the Arcane Boots.
So the go-to item, I would say, for heroes that are trying to play defensively, trying to survive, and trying to make sure that there's a few track kills on the board, as possible is going to be that mechanism, but I don't see any viable mech carriers on Mouse Sports. We have seen heroes like Bane pick it up occasionally, but it's so rare because of his low base mana pool that in general it's just not going to be something that we're going to see very soon in this game. I mean, it's possible, but we're probably seeing it more like the 25-30 minute mark rather than these next 10 to 15 minutes in which they really, really need it. So I think that's going to be quite a bit of a setback for them, especially if the Storm Spirit gets its Orchid online and you can't nullify that amplified damage that comes after the Orchid itself is dispelled. They're going to go on Trixie here, actually just get the ultimate off onto Fly. They're going to be able to pull him out into a very, very quick death through 4 heroes being able to retaliate on that. The Blink Dagger making its use, but now they're going to have to rotate up top to try to deal with the fact that Black is getting dropped down so hardcore from another Nake's Bomb. Era and Hani just jumping on in and picking up a nice little kill on the Gyrocopter. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, as so many supports rotate on out, Nyx is like, okay, well, easy pickings for me. Comes on in, double invis gank, and able to get a kill. I presume it was tracked, but not seeing it on cooldown, I can't be sure.
I mean, track at this point in time only has a 10-second cooldown, so it could quite easily be off at this point. But as you're saying, they don't really have a natural mecha. On that hand, I think Mouse Sports, for them, right now, they're focusing on aggression more than anything else. They just want to get stuck in, pick up those kills, of course, with the Batrider blinking in, jumping in there. I mean, he could afford to get a mech if he really wanted to, but I think he's more likely to just go for that 4-star / BKB, and just so he can be aggressive and get those pickoffs. I think at this point in time it's more important because, of course, and what's the best way to stop Storm Spirit, like discourage Storm Spirit from jumping in and trying to wreck you, is to basically have the firepower to drive him off, rather than having that extra 250 health. Because if he gets in there with a good jump, he's probably going to bring you down anyway with Lifestealer, extra 250 health or not from the mech.
Yeah, and that's.
But if you can say, you know what, I can disable you, you don't really want to come at me, he's less likely to try and go for you, or try and pick off your team members.
They certainly do have the lockdown potential for the Lifestealer with the Blink, with the Fiend's Grip. They are in a stage where they can deal with that. The problem is there's more heroes that are getting bigger and bigger more rapidly. We're going to see probably a Drum pick up on Bounty Hunter so he can stay on the front lines and take up a decent chunk of damage there. And of course, Hani being so mobile, and with them not having actually a great way to deal with him. Right now, the two big things are the Ancient Seal coming from Skywrath, and then if they do lock him down with the Fiend's Grip, it will drain his mana as well. So even if they don't kill him during that time period, at least they'll nullify him as a threat. But as a whole, they're committing at least one of those 2 cooldowns to him, and Hani is generally one of those players that won't let that happen unless you're already in the thick of things, unless you've already set up your team. He's going to ball lightning in, he's going to drop the Bounty Hunter, or sorry, the Lifestealer bomb, and with track movement speed, wind run, stuff like that, Vendetta, they all have big movement speed boosts, and suddenly it's not going to be like a 2-man pickoff. It's going to be all 5 up in the action, and yes, Hani will be frustrated from the silence, but he's not going to be the main focus target most of the time. You're going to be looking more so at the Lifestealer that you can Fiend's Grip, or the Bounty Hunter that you can lasso, or something like that, and just try to kill these carries, because of course they're a really, really big deal. But as soon as the silence comes on out, then Hani's up and kicking, and he still has a full mana pool to deliver. Going for a very aggressive build right now of no talismans, magic wands, treads, stuff like that, before building up anything like an Orchid or a Linken's. And yeah, at this stage, it just means that he's being able to be active now, setting up kills, and you can kind of see that here with 2, 1, and 2 as his KDA.
I don't think you go for Linken's this game. It's too easy for Mouse Sports to knock off. They've got, of course, Skywrath Magic can bounce every 2 seconds. You've got Enfeeble and stuff from Bane, and fairly easy Missile there from Gyrocopter. So way too many things that can bounce off the Linken's, I think. I think, if anything, he's probably more likely to go for that BKB. Sure, Bane's Fiend Grip can go right through it, but it will keep Ancient Seal and other nasties off him, as well as just basically protecting him from that burst magic damage. Just being able to pop it and not have to worry about getting slammed by cooldown would always be nice. So I think there's definitely the possibility that he'll just go straight for that BKB. Or like you said, might even just say, you know what, let's go full out aggression, let's just get that Orchid or Hex and just jump in and neutralize these heroes before they can counter-neutralize me.
Exactly, because I mean, you can cast while you're in Ball Lightning form, so if you initiate on a Skywrath and you get the Orchid off on him, Ancient Seal is not a factor, and then you're only worried about the one of 2 disables that Mouse Sports can throw out in ultimate fashion. But if they're wasting those 2 cooldowns on you, then you've done your job, because you tanked up a big disable, you've nullified the threat of the Skywrath, and then Bounty Hunter and Lifestealer can just right-click away, and that's going to be more and more threatening as we move in towards the later stages of the game, when they just get monstrous, when we see over 200 damage per right-click coming out from Lifestealer, and just big threats. Right now it looks like he's technically going for the Drum, as he does have the Bracer up, and that might mean Bounty Hunter is looking for something even more impactful, like a Desolator or something. But for right now, the big thing is that they have mobility. They move in quick. quickly, either with track movement speed boost or with, like I said, Vendetta, Wind Run, all these great abilities to get in the action where they want to. And if they get the right positioning off, there's not really much that Mousesports can do. Bane can get shackled extremely easily. The Batrider, he wants to jump in, but he doesn't have a Force Staff to get back on out. So once he commits in full. And as such, unless they're on the full aggressive against less than 5 heroes, I think Fnatic are going to be able to edge their way in and always pick off a couple kills, and that's always going to make track worthwhile.
I think the other big difference between this game and the last, of course, with the Banes is the fact that this game Pass has nowhere near the farm that the last Bane had, and he won't be getting that early BKB. So in this case, even if he does, if he does jump in immediately, get off a good Fiend's Grip on either Lifestealer or the Storm Spirit, it can immediately shut down by a counter stun there from Fnatic. So they've always got that option open to them because they don't have to worry about that really, really irritating BKB. But as it is, it looks like both teams hanging around the mid here, looking to see if they can get a gank. As it looks like Gyrocopter once again going for the early BKB. Hasn't picked up the Dominator this time, so that said, Black, of course, while he's known for farming, hasn't managed to get quite that farm rolling that we saw last game. Although he is just going to flat cannon down these Ancients, as it looks like several heroes are actually going to move to support him. Might actually see another gank in mid, though, as Lifestealer is moving in there, getting ready to infest Hanny, I think.
Yeah. So, second up, Black is farming up the creeps as much as possible. He has 90 CS, and that's on top of that is the multiple Ancients. But the net worth is still in favor of Lifesteal because of all these hero kills. 2, 0, and 2. He's staying aggressive in that sense, and now they're controlling the mid lane with these wards. Yeah, the Observer would have expired in 40 seconds anyways, but the fact that they know that they don't have vision here allows Fnatic to push out past the river a little bit more extensively, and most importantly, just stay on top of the main source of farm, which is the mid lane here, as Tier 1's being dropped down generally makes the creep equilibrium a little bit more predictable. You can go down when it's pushed, but the one thing that's back and forth constantly is this mid lane, which has all towers up and available.
Yeah, it looks like Mouz Founder is actually going to go for his own set of drums here in a moment, as well as building towards that brace. They're looking for a gank on top line, though. Founder is definitely vulnerable there. We've got the Vendetta up for Nyx, although it looks like they've lost line of sight, so he will actually walk away from this one alive, most likely, unless he blunders into Nyx. Now Nyx looking for vision, doesn't quite find it, though.
Yeah, just moving on about, trying to do what he can. But for right now, we are just seeing them look for the kills, and if they can't find them, at least they're pressuring Mouz back into a corner. Right now, all of them grouped up together. This is how you want your team to play against you. But of course, they are smoking up to try to capitalize on the fact, hey, we have to be together because Nyx and Bounty Hunter are such a threat for pickoffs that we might as well just try to go on the offensive. And that's what they're turning around with the smoke gank coming on through, especially with Cinderin leading the charge, or at least he was. But Koikova's going to be the one to look for a pickoff here. As far as Dire Vision, they already see Lifesteal. They jump on top of him, doing a lot of burst damage before he can even rage. He's already dead. That Ancient Seal connecting with the Mystic Flare, too much damage coming forth, and that's a great pick to set up their Tier 1 kill and dewarding the mid as well to keep control over that.
I mean, there's not much you can do with Lifesteal at any hero. If you have 5 heroes just crash down on you like that with no support whatsoever, you're not living. There's just no way you're getting out of that alive. But it looks like they're actually going to back up here, and they may not actually get this Tier 1 down. Lifesteal's going to go up in 20 seconds. Storm's still hanging around. I mean, they still have to be careful that they don't get picked off. They're taking damage here from the power shots, being harassed back. Of course, we've got the invisible Nags, but they do have that counter ward up there. But basically, the harassment and counter push there from Windrunner is going to keep them back, and they always have to worry about Storm Spirit jumping in and trying to pick off a low health hero. So they are, like you said, going to group up. I mean, right now, Mousesports have to play fairly grouped because all they you look at Fnatic's lineup. You've got of course, you've got the 2 Invis heroes, the Bounty Hunter, the Nyx Assassin, but then of course you've got the Storm Spirit, and whoever he decides to bring along with him, of course, can have Lifestealer jump at any given moment. So right now, Mousesports, I mean, they split up and sort of present easy targets. It's more than likely people are going to start getting picked off left, right, and center.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's going to be very, very dangerous. If they can just rack up on the gold from these track kills, then it's going to be really easy for Fnatic to just kind of steamroll through this game and kind of get the snowball rolling, get the momentum shift forward. And Gyrocopter, although he is finished up with his Black King bar, he isn't going to have the tools to deal with it for the next 10 or 15 minutes. So coming on in, we do see that smoke active, and Trixie, of course, can Shadow Walk at any point in time, but just starting off with this track, and it's going to force some defensive TPs from Mouz, because right now Black is kind of caught out by himself, knows Nyx can Vendetta in just a short while, and pretty much figures that he's pincered on in. So we are seeing Mousesports move on up top lane, and they know that there's going to be a 5v5 here shortly, but it looks like Fnatic's dodging it. There is going to be the TP of the Lifesteal down to bottom. Air is going to farm it up, and now it's going to be on Doomix to make sure he doesn't get picked off here by the smoke coming out from Mousesports.
I think this is a perfectly fine response here for Fnatic, because right now they don't have very good vision into the dire jungle, so they don't know what could be trying to jump from behind, because for all their good pick-off abilities, they really do have to worry about it, because as we saw, the blink on the Batrider is very scary for them.
Yeah, they go for the dust on mid, so Koiva's lasso will guarantee this kill.
Yeah, like I said, that rider with the bleed, he's so easy for them to pick off heroes. And as soon as they get locked down, I mean, if Skywrath is there, it's Mystic Flare time, and you are not walking away from that. No, siree. Looks like they'll probably pick up. They may pick off this mid tower as like the neck. Oh well, rather, the bounty hunter is down, but the power shot's not. Might hold this off. Maybe they're dragging the creep off at the same time. But 5 heroes now beating down the tower. They will pick this off in the end. It's whether or not they can grab a hero in return.
Yeah, Honey does have the Infest inside him. He kind of wants to go and be aggressive, but it's so difficult to do so versus Skywrath at this stage. He is almost ready with his drum, plenty of good base stats to survive the initial engagement, and as long as he can get a couple spellcasts off, he will be able to drop his payload very, very quickly. And honestly, Fnatic are relying so much on this Snake Spawn that hasn't net that many kills. It has provided some potential to pick off people very, very early on, and it does allow them to have enough presence to deny this tower here. But as a whole, Fnatic is just really, really not finding enough kill potential with this to feel confident about their movement into the mid game, especially since Koikova continues to farm and is going to be able to find this 4-staff in just a moment. So he's in a great state of mind, and on top of that, the Skywrath is getting more and more tanky. All things looking up for Mouse Sports as the game goes on.
My biggest problem with this so far is not so much the farm that the Skywrath and the Batrider are getting at the moment. It's the fact that Hanny, while he's looking for these Infest bombs that he's not getting, he's wasting a lot of time, not just for himself, not just for Nakes, but for himself as well. You see there in the GPM, he's sub 300. Nakes is doing okay. He's holding firm. He's holding firm there with the Gyrocopter, but my biggest issue is that Hanny, he needs items. Like Storm Spirit really does need items going into the late game. He really wants to get either that Orchid up and running or the Hex. It looks like he will be going for the Orchid. He picks up the Oblivion stuff. So he needs those items to remain relevant, and he's just not quite getting the farm that he wants right now. So it looks like they're going to bait with Gyrocopter, and we see here the support's hanging behind, getting ready to counterattack it. This is a smart play here from Mouse Sports, and the question is whether or not Fnatic realize the bait is happening.
Yeah, precisely. And at this stage, they're going on in. They're trying to bring in the Gyrocopter. They have full vision on this. Radiant really, really want to bite, but right now Mouse Sports are in a great position to counter-initiate. The problem is they've been spotted out by the Observer. They didn't use smoke. They're just coming out in the lane, and instead of being kind of a counter-initiation attempt, it's just going to be a full 5-man push down on the bottom tier 1, and this gives the opening for Fly and Honey to do the exact same thing up on top. Fortification is up for, both teams, but honestly, they're going to have to pop it off for Mouse Sports in order to make sure they don't go for an even exchange.
I think this is an okay result here for Fnatic. They trade tier 1 towers. In fact, it's going to work out slightly in favor because they weren't really using that bottom lane, that safe lane to farm all that much anyway. Because, I mean, they've spent a lot of their time with trying to just get those Infest bombs off. They're looking for fights right now. So speaking of looking for fights, there we go. Kosh, you're going to get caught out there by that static pull there, as it looks like he will bring him down very easily. Hanny jumping all over him. And this is what I was talking about. They're looking for fights. Fnatic are looking for fights, whereas in the other hand, Mouse Sports were probably more likely trying to hope to keep that top tower up and running for farm room for their Gyrocopter.
Exactly, but he still has the Ancients available that hasn't been messed with yet at all as far as ward pulls. We're going to probably see a stack coming on through in the next 45 seconds for that. But as a whole, their great thing is they can't lose a tier 2. If they lose that kind of farming ground, suddenly, just in general, nothing is safe. The wards will come on out. Fnatic will be able to just be circling like sharks in the water and find blood very, very quickly. We see actually a counter push call down coming on through, but he does get tracked up. Actually gets the Carapace stun. Now going for the Shackle Shot. No, not going to go in too deep here. And it looks like Trixie also is trying to find the right vector to go on in. But of course, there are a lot of supports to deal with. And in the split second, things could turn around against them with Koikova and that Blink Lasso.
I really, really like what Fnatic are doing. Unfortunately, I feel like what they're really aching for is a gem, yet they don't want to buy one because if they lose it, it can get picked off fairly easily. Obviously, with the Batrider, they're going to surrender so much control for their invisible heroes here. They're trying to gank and put up pressure because right now they would have gotten so much more aggressive on the Gyrocopter up here, except they had no vision around this area. They were really worried about getting counterattacked there. Couldn't see what was coming from up the lane. They were really, really worried. If they'd been able to see behind them, see what could potentially be coming to counterattack them, they would have jumped all over that Gyrocopter and brought him down very quickly. But it's because of that uncertainty that they didn't want to go. Whereas if they had that gem and knew that they were clearing wards, could put up their own wards, then I think they would have gone for it.
Exactly, yeah. You don't want to buy a gem in a situation where 2 of your own heroes can be revealed, but at the same time, it's map control that you desperately need right now, because if they're not containing the Gyrocopter, their initiative has failed. They're all about the kills, the Gyrocopter is all about the CS, and right now the CS is there, the kills, here and there. So they definitely want to increase that more substantially. But just going a 5-man Dota, Mouse Sports is able to put pressure on the tier 2 without actually having to worry about that, specifically the Nakes bomb, but as a whole, just the lineup of Fnatic, which are all about finding pickoffs. So at this stage, Bounty Hunter will farm enough to pick up his Vladimirs in a short time period, but it's really not going to change the state of the game when you consider how big Gyrocopter is getting and how much more damage he's going to be able to output once he finishes up that Manta style.
I think they're really, really relying on being able to shut him down hard, just being able to jump down all over him. Honey is getting fairly close to finishing off that Orchid, which will be a fairly big deal.
Oh, Skybook Warrior. Nice move on Trixie.
Oh, wow, that was nicely done, yeah. Like I said, I think they're mostly just waiting for that Orchid. Once they get that, I think they're going to be far more aggressive, just waiting for that item pickup. In fact, I think Honey should have it right about now.
So, yeah, picking that up very, very quickly. He's going to be in a good state where he's going to be able to jump on in and nullify the Skywrath entirely. He's going to take him out and hopefully burst him down fast enough, and that's where not having a mechanism comes into play. It's going to be on Mouse Sports to have the timing of reactive disables, to lock him down with Batrider, lock him down with Bane, because if they can't heal him, they at least have to prevent the damage. Otherwise, that amplification from the Orchid is going to be too much for Skywrath to deal with, since he's already so squishy. 3 armor, nothing. His strength, even with the drum and treads, he's stronger than most Skywraths as far as survivability, but is not strong enough. And we actually see on bottom lane a little bit of initiation there. The Fiend's Grip will come out on Era. He's going to get dropped hardcore. The Infest wasn't enough to bring down Black, so he BKBs, he turns it around, he delivers the right clicks to seal Era's fate here, and that is really bad for him as he's losing more and more momentum as a hero himself. His GPM shooting right back on up, but still, time in the grave is time lost, trying to gank, trying to farm, and as a result, Gyrocopter is going to come out on top comparatively.
I mean, I'm not too worried about them keeping Skywrath up, even if he does get hit by that, Mystic Flare there. It's also Winrun about to get blasted there. Yep, she goes down very quickly. But, of course, I mean, they've always got the defensive disrupt option open to them if they need it. So, you know, if Skywrath does get jumped, they can, of course, take him out of the fight for a few seconds if necessary to keep him alive. So I think they should be fine in that respect. And he does have treads for wand as well as the drum, so he's not too squishy in that sense. It's whether or not, the bigger issue for him, I think, is if the Lifestealer jumps on top of him, then he's in some serious trouble. Of course, Lifestealer, as we saw how quickly he slammed into Gyrocopter, and I mean, he was tearing Gyrocopter apart. It really came down to those supports coming in, of course, the ultimate there from Shadow Demon keeping him in the fight.
And that's really what it's all about, is trying to make sure they're at the right place at the right time. Now, they themselves have a Gem of True Sight, which could be really, really good for them, as they will see Nyx coming on in. But he does have, in turn, a Blink Dagger picked up, rushed it after the Arcane Boots, and so Doomix won't be as afraid of the gem because he will pretty much use Vendetta simply for a more powerful right-click burst. He won't actually use it to initiate, he'll just use the Blink to make that 1200 damage leap, or 1200 range leap to actually make it work for them. And, the only one really limited by it is going to be Trixie on the Bounty Hunter. He has been running around with rank 1 Shadow Walk a lot, and if he does get picked, just based on some good vision from Batrider, actually seeing on mid lane, they're going to be able to do some damage with Black turning around with the call down. Should be able to let them fall back. Sentry comes down, they get the Fiend's Grip at maximum range. Trixie should fall here. Really, really clutch. Sentry, Fiend's Grip coming out of pause, they're able to bring him down, and the pursuit comes from Fada, trying to actually lock down this Windrunner as well. There's the Ancient Seal, there's the Mystic Flare, there's going to be a lot of damage from the Arcane Bolt, but it's not going to be enough to finish the job just yet, and instead we're going to see Skywrath barely getting on out from the tower damage. Air coming on in on top of Black, he's already used his BKB, he just has to stand and fight, because he's going to get slowed down in just a moment from the Blink Impale. Where's the Blink Impale? They could get it right this very second, but delaying it out. Doomix not wanting to jump in too far, and instead they let the Gyrocopter slip through their fingers.
It looks like he was almost worried about his mana levels, but he had enough to do it. Should also mention that Stormster Honey was trying to get a kill there on the Shadow Demon by himself on the top lane. Failed. Shadow Demon survived with like 10 health. Thankfully for him, saved there by Batrider, almost getting picked off as well, but managing to save himself with a defensive disrupt. Again, just causing too much trouble. And so yeah, pretty bad result there for Fnatic, not only losing some kills in the mid lane, but also losing yet again Honey and his Storm Spirit.
Yeah, this is looking really bad for Fnatic. They're missing kill opportunities, and when they try to go gung-ho, Rambo style, with one individual hero that can't find the gank, then unfortunately, when they get peeled off, suddenly things change around. Mousesports has a great potential to reset fights very, very extensively with their core disables. They could change your positioning. They can use take a Kit Kat break with the disruption, and other things like that are going to enable you to just stay active after that comes out. So you wait, you just drop it down, drop a couple ultimates, and then 2 or 3 seconds later, come back out with your cooldowns up and available and ready to start swinging. So by delaying these engagements, I think Fnatic, with all their front-loaded burst, is actually going to be falling more and more behind unless we get some really, really good disable play, which is on Nyx and Windrunner, and we haven't seen too much of them throughout the game.
We'll see what they've got in mind, though. I like this fact that Bane is also still cracking out these counter wards here, making sure they've always got vision across the map. Watching out for that Nyx as well as the Bounty Hunter, trying to set up kills as well as... Look at the map control right now. It looks like both teams still got their wards up and running. So it looks like who's got the gem still on the Dire side? Batrider's still carrying that gem. Yeah, I mean, he hasn't really gotten offensive with that. And of course, with the Firefly, he can quite easily scout up and down hills, making sure he can see where those wards are. I'm surprised actually they haven't really focused on getting that map control just yet. It looks like, no, the wards are going to naturally expire down the bottom anyway. But now both teams, it looks like Hanny looking for an Infest Bomb here, but this could go terribly for him in a second. In fact, no, he's going to use the flying vision there from the Remnant.
Wow. There we go. Logging him down. The Firefly giving them vision. They're going to go for that lasso to bring down Hani. And Era is now Fiend's Grip immediately after coming out of the Infest. Terrible, terrible damage coming out for them. They did not want that at all. I was surprised it took Koikova that long to pop the Firefly, but once he did, that was unfortunately Hani's time to get dropped. He was scouting around using Remnant's clear vision, as well as the mobility from Ball Lightning and the fact that he had a regen rune active to just keep on jumping all about, but unfortunately Koikova right nearby is able to really screw that method over, and of course the instantaneous disable, locking him in place, and setting up an easy kill and an easy roach for Mousesports.
Yeah, unfortunately, throwing a little bit, I mean, it was cute what Storm Spirit was doing, but definitely, I mean, I think he just didn't realize exactly how much trouble he was jumping into. He was hoping, I mean, if that had been just one or two heroes, sure, they probably could have picked off a kill fairly easy, maybe even two, because of course Storm Spirit and Lifesteal together caused a ton of damage, but the problem was there was all five there, pretty much all five enemy heroes, which just burst him down so quickly, and of course quick reflexes there from Batrider shut him down before Storm Spirit could jump away, just stay still for just a few moments too long. So in the end, cute play there for Fnatic, but backfiring horribly.
Yeah.
Really feel bad for them about that. Should also mention Bounty Hunter, still looking to find any major item. I mean, he's got a Vlad's offering there, but that's not a big deal at this point in time.
Yeah, I mean, not really change the pace. It will allow them to survive against Flathead a little bit more extensively. They also have the Basher up on Era, so they will be able to deal with the Gyro a little bit. But now the Skywrath Mage is becoming more and more threatening. They can't burst him down with the fact that he has so much HP now. Treads, drums, he's going to have a Black King bar shortly, and you just can't really deal with that no matter what you throw at him. Unless he's going to be like slowed up and have two people right-clicking on top of him, there's really not too much you can do, and he's already has a quick base movement speed for himself. So in general, I just feel like every single engagement Fnatic is getting themselves into, they think that they have a numbers advantage when in fact it's just the opposite. Generally speaking, we're seeing a numbers disadvantage, and that means that 1v2 ganks for Hani doesn't work. 2v5, of course, will not work out for Hani and Era together. So they're losing momentum hardcore, and we see that on the graphs. The gold going the way of 2,000 in favor of Mousesports, and even worse, 7,500 experience. Taking its toll here. Obviously, the levels are very, very impactful, as Gyrocopter, now sitting at level 17, has the most damage potential, and even picking up a Butterfly. I mean, what can they do to bring him down with an Aegis and a Butterfly, along with, of course, that Black King bar?
I mean, they can get enough lockdown there. I mean, they've got enough stuns. Pretty much every hero there can try and pin down the Gyrocopter. It's just whether or not they can bait out that bait out the Black King bar. And speaking of Black King bars and things are going horribly wrong, Skywrath Mage has just picked his up as well, so there's going to be no shutting him down with the Orchid. That is, it looks like we're going to have Hanny jumping around the top lane. I mean, they're kind of in between a rock and a hard place here at the moment. See, the problem is they want to get those pick-offs, get those ganks, and unfortunately for them, Mousesports are just playing 5-man Dota. They just group up and say, well, you know what, you're not getting those easy pick-offs anymore because we're just going to stick together and hold hands. If we stay as 5, we stay alive. But on the other hand, you know, the usual response is when your opponent starts doing that is you start farming tons of different lanes, you start pushing lots of different lanes and splitting up and just saying, well, if you're going to stick together, we're just going to get more gold, more experience out of this. But at the same time, they've got to worry about getting jumped by Batrider, and a couple of supports are getting picked off like that. So, I mean, they've still got the aggressive ganking power from the Batrider there and his mobility. And I think this is sort of where Fnatic, they're not really sure as to what to do. So they keep trying to go for those ganks, like you say, but every time they do it, they just run into a wall of heroes and get shut down so hard.
Yeah, just really unfortunate. Fnatic in general is, I would say, is one of the best Western teams as far as taking advantage of the opponents grouping up. They say, okay, you guys go 5-man. We'll, as you said, cover all the other lanes, get tons of farm, get tons of independent experience, but the issue there is that they seem so desperate for the kills that they're losing sight of that broader perspective. Now we do see Pickoff coming down on Fly. He is pulled in from the last one. There's that silence. dropping him down so darn quickly that magic damage comes on through. Just good TP rotation from Koikwa and, of course, Fata. So that's set up there. We're going to see up on the top lane, the tier 2 will fall to Hani, but Black doing a lot of damage here. Might even be able to close it in. No, the homing missile not going to connect fast enough, so he's perfectly fine. They do take a free tier 2, but they lose their Windrunner once again, and it's just, you can see the kills racking up 14-7 in favor of Mouz. These gank attempts aren't working out, and every time they try to push things out a little bit too far, Mouz has been punishing them with some good movement from the Bat Rider or even the Bane, and that's just getting worse and worse for them as time goes by.
To see a lifesteal does manage to pick up a kill there on the Shadow. Now, I don't think it was a free tier 2 for Fnatic. I'm pretty sure they lost their own tier 2 mid, so it was a bit of a trade there. And I mean, we saw the gank on the bottom lane, and Windrunner, as soon as they split up, I mean, Windrunner just got picked up, somebody got beaten up, and they traded towers. So, like, it is like Fnatic, they kind of want to split up and take different towers and different lanes, but at the same time, they can't really, because basically that Bat Rider, and they throw on a Scarlet Mage, as soon as somebody gets locked down by that lasso, it just gets slammed by Mystic Flare. There's nothing they can do about it, and the damage from Mystic Flare is absurd, so there's nothing they can do to survive that once they're locked down. I mean, the only person who could possibly take it is Snakes if he's already pre-raged, but it's pretty hard to pull that off that quickly.
Yeah, still a little movement by Fata down, roaming about the jungle with Invis, had haste a bit for a bit too. Anyways, was passing over Bounty Hunter, unbeknownst to him. I mean, both of them were invisible, neither one knowing the presence of the other, but both of them just roaming about literally on top of each other for a good 10 seconds. Now we see the initiation come on through though. Skywrath setting up the vision so they can bring down Era before he rages, and that's a mega kill streak for Fata. Just really delivering the hurt here, and I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get his third point in ultimate. Actually, I highly doubt it, so level 16 isn't that big of a deal, but still finding kills back and forth. Black now getting picked off though, getting a little bit too offensive. The Aegis would have dropped down in a full minute anyways, but yeah, either way, he's just expending it out, getting too far forward, but not losing all that much as a result.
No, I mean, see, so that again, a lifestealer off on his own, trying to get some farm independently, and this bam, picked off yet again. Just not really anything Fnatic can do about it, especially since they're losing all map control now as well. I'm pretty sure Bat still has it. Yes, he still has that gem. They're losing all his map control. Their wards are going down. They can't keep vision up anywhere. And we see now how Mousesports are aggressively warding everywhere they can. See one in the mid lane, one in the jungle, and probably throw up some more. Just let me check if they actually have any left at the moment. No, they're on cooldown, so they're just throwing up wards as fast as they can, as aggressively as they can, to make sure they can see exactly what's going on. And this is really shutting down Fnatic's ability to farm. They're struggling to find any farm. In fact, you see there, Trixie has been farming the enemy jungle for some time now.
Yeah, I mean, that's honestly the safest place on the map right now is your enemy's jungle, which is not something you can always say, but in this perspective, with all the wards coming out from Mousesports, it honestly is 100% true. Now, there are some pinks coming out. They realize there are two up there farming it up, but they're just taking that opportunity to take the tier 2 down very swiftly, and now they have a lot of control. They have the lifesteal up on Gyrocopter. He can stand and deliver against anybody on Fnatic, 100%. He'll evade 1/3 of the damage, and of course, he will be able to lifesteal up a good chunk of it in return. Now we also see the Blink Dagger up on Bane, and Paz has as much initiation potential as a Bat Rider now. They are able to just jump on in and always go for those picks, and it gets scarier and scarier for Fnatic, as now they don't have vision because of all these D-wards, and with Mousesports being able to jump on in with those initiation from both Bat and Bane, honestly, there's no place that feels safe for Fnatic here. So honestly, they don't care about feeling safe. They just want to go in balls deep. They go in aggressively, and we're going to see Dumix go in for that next bomb. Even finding a haste run here is going to be very quick on his feet, going in to try to infest on down one of his opponents here with Trixie and Hani at their back.
Yeah, I think they must have figured that the enemy doesn't have any vision here. It looks like they're going to go for a gank. Can they get the kill here on Black? Black now firing out the rocket barrage. Going to call it the cooldown as well. Hani dancing away there as it looks like the lasso there on Trixie. Trixie getting shredded. We've already got one down for Fnatic, and now it looks like they're just going to have to back out here. There's nothing much they can do to make anything happen at all. And I was going to say, I mean, they must have figured out that the enemy didn't have any. Fnatic figured out that the Dire didn't have any vision in their own jungle because, of course, like I said, Trixie had been in there farming away and figured, you know what, well, nobody's come for me. Maybe this is the safest place to be. Let's roll everybody up there and see if we can set up some ganks, because of course, you know, if they don't have vision in here, this is our best spot to try and get off some pickoffs. But as it is, they're going to lose a couple of heroes, and they're going to lose a hero and then probably lose a tier 2 up the top lane as well.
Trying their best, but just not working out for them. That Black King bar timing from Black, literally just 100% clutch. The electric vortex didn't come out before the BKB despite the ball lightning in, so Black just immediately trigger fingers on that item allowed him to stay alive in that. Otherwise they definitely would have popped off the next bomb and gone in entirely committed to that engagement, but instead it's a solo pickoff, bringing down the Bounty Hunter and keeping their kills at only 8. Fnatic really falling behind, and now huddled under their tier 3 tower. Going in once more though, Vendetta underneath the center where Doomix is like, wait a second, these creeps know a little bit too much. He's going to fall back safely to the base, but although he has a lot of mobility himself with Blink and Force, he doesn't even feel that confident about jumping on in. He's going to try. The next bomb will come on through, but a simple BKB TP gets Fada out of dodge, and quick Force-Staff Blink maneuver from Koikova does the exact same thing. So they're trying and trying and trying, but even with the range of initiation of a Blink Force Nyx and a high mana Storm, they still cannot close the distance and stay on top of anybody.
Well, see, the biggest problem there was the fact that the observable was up. They saw Trixie go invisible. They knew that people were skulking around there. I'm pretty sure, I'm very, very sure that Fada had his finger hovering over the Black King bar button, ready to jump the hell away if necessary. Because he would have, like, there's no way he would have been wandering or blundering around there without knowing that they were there ready to try and jump in. And Batrider's also skulking around with that gem as well. So here, Nyx jump out of his infest finally, getting ready to try and get some farm rolling. But it looks like Lifestealer has picked up Demon Edge. We'll see if he's going for that Monkey King bar to try and nullify that Butterfly on the Gyrocopter.
Yeah, that's his exact intentions, because Basher is kind of useless if you're not getting the right clicks in. His Rage gives him some decent attack speed to make it worthwhile, but as a whole, if you can't hit, you can't bash, you can't disable. So he's going to go in for the Monkey King bar now, raging on out of the damage from Fata, turning around with a nice and fail mana burn coming in from Doomix, turning around on Bat right now, going aggressive. They have the gem for themselves. They can go in and just take control of their own jungle, which is very, very important at this stage in the game. This is really their only hope, is to actually get the reins on their half of the map. So now forcing out everybody here. The Monkey King bar is up for Gyrocopter. He's going to be able to deliver a ton of AoE damage with that Flak Cannon, but for right now, Fnatic happy to take at least one kill here.
I'm going to say Fnatic are very lucky that Nyx managed to jump in there with that stun, and Batrider didn't quite manage to pop off the BKB in time, because had he managed to pop off the BKB, I'm fairly sure that they would have lost Nyx yet again to another pick-off with the Mystic Flare and the Lasso there. But it looks like we're going to have a bit of a counter push down mid by the Dire team. They're going to charge in here. Trixie, as well as Fly, going to immediately back up. Throw out the homing missile as well. Not really going to achieve a whole lot, though. Trixie just continues to try and scout things out. And do we have another gem yet for the Dire team? I mean, I'm pretty sure they've got one up.
Currently not any of their heroes, unfortunately, so they're just going to drop down some sentries here. Paz has a couple to
they just bought one just then.
There we go. So Koikwa will be sending that to the battlefield, and they'll be raring to go for this next engagement here. Black is maxed out on his stats. He has every single point stats possible, now actually going back for the points in his skills that are generally considered lackluster comparatively, so for a carry Gyrocopter at the very least. So he's going on in. We do see Hani initiating, going in with that Nyx bomb, bursting down on Koikwa. They get the track kill on that very quickly, get the gem again. They track up, they shackle up, they're going to go, where's the H's? Nobody's picking it up, and it's going to be snatched by Storm Spirit. A beautiful shackle setting up Hani here. He has a full health and mana bar waiting for him on his next death, but Black delivering so much AoE right-click damage, burning down Era as these fiends grip up by Paz. BKB TP from Skywrath. Hani just going to have to zip away with that ball lightning up. Oh my goodness, a good snatch, but still not getting enough out of that team fight to make it worthwhile. Even the gem was not picked up, and now Cinder will be able to grab it, and it's a bait. It's a trap. They baited out with that. They have the track active. Hani can jump on in. He's using his bottle, trying to get back on in top of Cinderin. Just a little bit of damage is all he needs to bring him down. He's going to go for it here. The right click is there, but unfortunately Paz is going to be able to nullify some of the damage, and Defensive Disruption keeps Cinderin up back, and now they keep the gem, and Hani is out of mana on the run. And has a long way to run, but unfortunately he does pick up an Invis Rune, which will lend its hand in trying to get him on out of there. Doomix trying to use his Blink Dagger, but Shadow Poison and some Rocket will limit his potential there, just carapassing it up before he jumps out himself. Either way, a big back and forth engagement. Great that they got the Aegis on Hani, but how do you feel about the fight as a whole?
I feel it would have been a lot better had they managed to pick up that gem. If they managed to pick up that gem, it would have been crucial, because there's no gem available. Because it's like I said, they just bought that gem, so there wouldn't have been one available for quite some time, which again, like you said, would have allowed them to scramble back all that map control. But as it is now, I mean, this pretty much, they can't go on the offensive. They've just got to wait it out to try and get that gem back, and they can't really offensively ward and get stuck in on the enemy side of the map, nor just allow their invisible heroes to run roughshod over on the enemy side of the map again. That said, though, really good pickoff. I mean, they isolated the Batrider immediately and burst him down very quickly. They could do that again, and we saw exactly how fast he got torn apart, so they could go after that once again. But that said, I don't think they'll be as quick. Mousesports will be as quick to leave them alone, because of course they were busy with the Roshan that time. But now we're going to see a drive down mid here. Windrunner may be in some trouble.
Yeah, very, very, very much trouble. She's not going to be able to react. He disconnected on out and fly. He's just like, we got him. We're in range. We can do this. But he does have Windrun available, but the Blink initiation from Koikova will put him just close enough, I think, to drop. No, the Flame Break's on cooldown. Very fortunate that the Flame Break isn't available, but I think the Blink plus Fiend's Grip would be sufficient. So if they blink, that's it. That's what they have to do. They have to use or Koikova's Force Staff on pause right before he blinks. Then he blinks right on top of Fly and gets the Fiend's Grip out. That's the idea. But we'll see if it actually comes on out after this pause expires. But for right now, just trying to get Fly back on in. He's been having a few network issues back and forth this whole game. Dubix is here for a little bit of countering presence. Has a gem, has a Nyx inside. But we'll see if they can actually turn this situation around just a little bit. Waiting for Fly to give the good to go before they move on forward here. Unfortunately for them, Hani's nowhere near. Even if he TP'd in, he has no mana to work with. But here we go. Oh, they're going to let him go because of the disconnect. So that's nice.
Or do they? Is it a trap? No, looks like they will let him go.
Mind games. I'm seeing a Sanjin Yasha on Gyrocopter. I'm kind of hating that and think it's a troll. But what do you think about that on black here?
I think it's perfectly okay. I mean, a lot of people hate on Sanjay, but I think it's a perfectly viable item. In this case, I mean, Gyrocopter can use the attack speed, can use the movement speed as well, just keep mobile in these fights and try and prevent him from being pinned down too badly. So, I mean, look at this. You can use the attack speed. He's just chewing away at this town. Nobody's really dealing with it. There we go. Now they're jumping on top of defense and disrupt. So, Nake's Bomb getting ready to go there with the Nyx Assassin. There we go. BKB being popped out. Flat Cannon activated. We've lost Storm's Breath. We've lost Nyx Assassin. Down goes Bounty Hunter. Buyback there from Hanny. He's going to try and dive back in. Call down as well. We've lost the Life Stealer. And now it looks like we're going to lose a melee Rax as well. For all the good that Hanny does in these fights, I don't think he can hold off this 5v1 very easily. Although, he might go for it, though. Gets immediately silenced, and Mystic Flare drilled. Not a chance.
That was the maxed Mystic Flare. That is his full ultimate there. It costs 800 frickin' mana, but able to use it there, and we do see GG's finally come on through. Just perfect positioning from the Gyrocopter, getting flat down on literally everything, just laying waste to everything nearby. Some great disables, a good pick off real quick with the lasso on the Storm and the Fiend's Grip on the Lifestealer. The Fnatic just didn't have an opportunity to get their legs underneath them, and instead Mousesports just take that fight away, no problem at all. Kill Hani twice over, why not? And in this situation, it's all about that farm. I mean, a huge gold advantage, huge experience advantage, and a very powerful draft that's obviously taken its toll here. They survived. They didn't have to worry about more than like 4 or 5 track kills. And just as a whole, Mousesports take this game away 100%. So we'll be seeing them a little bit later on in the tournament here. We're going to be looking at that next matchup, specifically looking at Evil Geniuses versus Roxkiss, and whoever wins that will be going up against Mousesports here.
See what they can manage to pull out here, as it looks like they're just gonna get out a few more fountain kills. Should be, like I said, like Fnatic, they just couldn't find. They just really couldn't play to their strengths. They couldn't get those easy pickoffs with the infest bombs, and again they just couldn't. They couldn't split push either. They couldn't just farm lots of different places around that. Couldn't split push. Couldn't really do what they want to do just because that Bat Rotor, and then later the Bane with the Blink, which is such huge threats. And that Mystic Flare is ridiculous when combined with a good lockdown to set it up. That just does so much damage. No, I don't think there's any hero in the game right now that can really stand up to that. The amount of damage that the Skywrath can dish out that quickly if you lock somebody down for him.
Exactly. So just very strong. The Skywrath pick kind of showing its worth here. Did well against the Storm relatively early on, and he didn't end up getting a Black King Bard to deal with it. So Hani had a rough time of finding things in general, just finding those solo pickoffs, and without finding kills, this team lineup kind of fell apart, unfortunately. So, surprisingly, the Knicks did pretty well as far as gold. I guess that's just because the game went to 43 minutes. But one way or another, it doesn't add up. We see that dropping it down, Mousesports take the game away. Gyrocopter getting so much farm and nobody else to really contest him here. So really good supportive play. It was all about Koiko's and Paz's disables and a little bit of awesome defensive disruption action from Cinderin as well. So really nice action there. And we'll be seeing them a little bit later, as I mentioned. Thank you guys so much for tuning on in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this match here. Again, this is the Premier League Season 5 in this new cup format that we're trying out here. So this is cup number 1. It is the Demon Edge Cup is what we're calling it there. And whoever takes the maximum point value gets first place there will be, I guess, taking home that little trophy, at least as a online graphic, if nothing else. But yeah, cool match nevertheless, and we thank you guys so much for tuning on in. Again, this is Blaze and Triumph, and we'll see you guys on the next game.